Person in the country to be sentenced to jail for using the K word. Her bail application was also denied on Wednesday in the Randburg Magistrate Court, where she was sentenced. In 2016, Momberg's racist rant at police officers and 10111 operators who tried to assist her after a smash and grab incident was caught on camera and went viral. She was found guilty on 4 counts of criminal injuria in 2016. Joining us now is Yasmin Sooka. She is the Executive Director of the Foundation for Human Rights in South Africa, and she joins us now live in our studios. Good morning to you. Thank you so much for coming through, Yasmin.
Thank you.
Now, just before we talk about the case, just briefly explain to us the difference between the Human Rights Commission and the Foundation for Human Rights.
The Foundation for Human Rights is an independent, non-governmental organization. We were established in 1996 by the government of South Africa, President Mandela's government, and the European Union Foundation. The Human Rights Commission, however, is a Chapter 9 institution, and it's a constitutional organization which has specific obligations in terms of Chapter 9 of the Constitution.
All right, but I do believe you believe that this is victory for human rights.
Absolutely. I mean, we've had a number of cases of racism and people using the K word since 1999. You've had the Prinsloo case in 2014, and now you have the Vicky Momberg case. And I think what you've seen in the country is impunity. Many people believe that they can utter these words and nothing's going to happen to them. So I think this case is consistent with the bill that is before Parliament, the hate crimes bill, and it's consistent that somebody should be convicted and sentenced for this kind of hate speech.
So we are basically starting to see light at the end of the tunnel, because many people are of the view that, look, the justice system is failing us, they're not doing anything. So this is the beginning of good things, I believe, to come.
I think so. I think you're going to see the hate crimes bill being passed into law, and that will deal with incidents of hate speech and hate crimes which really border and pass on to criminal action. In addition to that, the government's also preparing what they call a national action plan to combat racism and xenophobia, and I think that will be another instrument to begin to deal with racists, because there's nothing in the country at this point except using crime and injuria and actually going to courts. And when you look at some of the past convictions and sentences, these have been incredibly light, suspended sentences. So I think the Vicky Momberg sentence really shows that the country and the courts are now tired of people being racist, and they really want to send a strong message.
But beyond that, do you think the ruling will have an impact or perhaps turn racist mentalities around?
Look, racism is almost institutionalized and structural in our country. And it's very clear that what we will have to do is, within the interactions between people, in social engagements with people, this is going to be some kind of bar to being racist. But to be honest, we have to really tackle through education and through conversations amongst people in our society how inappropriate it is to be racist. When we collected submissions for the National Action Plan, I was quite shocked by how many individual submissions we had, where people spoke about the pain and suffering they felt at the way they had been treated. We also just launched a baseline survey on Monday, and in that survey we found that 1 in 10 South Africans found that they had been discriminated against and that people had been racist against them in the public space. So you can see racism is a big problem in our society.
It is indeed. And we've seen social media yesterday, after the sentence was handed down, flaring up with mixed views and emotions. South Africans saying people like the EFF leader Julius Malema is also guilty of racial slurs but does not suffer the consequences. In your view, how will this ruling sort of promote reconciliation, perhaps, in the country?
Well, the ruling in itself is sending a very strong message that our country will not tolerate people who are racist. But it can't stop there. And what we've got to do is to use the case to encourage debate among South Africans about how important it is to eradicate racism, but also how hurtful it is. If you listen to the policeman who was, I think, abused 48 times by Vicky Momberg, he speaks about how painful and humiliating it was for him. If you look at the 2014 case, and the women who were at the Free State University was humiliated by the use of this word. And she said, I felt like nothing. I felt so belittled. And when you think about the fact that we are all adults in South Africa, we all have come so far from 1996, why do we still have to suffer this kind of abuse from our fellow South Africans? So I think that it's also got to start with the white community in South Africa and with other communities. We have to teach them that being racist is unacceptable.
Well, I believe it's a lesson learned. We'll leave it at that. Thank you so much for coming through. And all right, well, there you have it. This conversation with Yasmin Sooka, the Executive Director of the Foundation for Human Rights in South Africa, talking to us about this Vicky Momberg case. You may want to tell us your views about that at Morning Live SABC. It's our Twitter handle. Let's hear what you have to say. We're taking a quick break here on Morning Live. Your news at 7 will follow. Don't go away.